Hey everyone, I'm Mark,
And I'm Alex.
and this is Final Stop for Final Fantasy Talks. Welcome everyone to episode 39. We are continuing our Final Fantasy IX playthrough. We're getting towards the end here. We probably don't have very many episodes left, man. It's getting
Yeah,
it's going pretty quick. So we are going to continue
really
on.
is.
We just left the episode doing kind of all of the side stuff, essentially all the end game side quest things. We left a few things. We left like the monster house. We left the side boss, some friendly monster. We left some things, and we said that we were probably going to do it this episode.
Yeah.
Alex and I were actually talking, and we are
All
probably
the
going to,
super bosses.
yeah, we're gonna kind of push it back even further because
Yeah.
I was gaining levels, man. It was working quite well, you know. I definitely just used the cheats, turned on the max damage modifier with the time speed, and I just cranked it out. You know, I was like, dude, I'm not gonna sit
Yeah.
here doing it forever. And so
Well, yeah.
I was
feel
getting
it.
into the mid 50s, but that's when I was like, dude, I can't keep leveling because,
Yeah.
you know, we got to advance the story, and it's still, I think it's like 60s or something like that is what it's at. And so we're going to go ahead in the story so that way we can get through the story, and then I and Alex as well will have free reign to level up as much as we so choose, and then we'll take on all the extra side stuff. So, all right, man, here we go. We're going to dive into it, dive into Memoria. What, you have the invincible ship, and you have to pretty much just fly to the
But I
Aoife
mean,
tree.
it's a good. Pretty much, I'm not really even sure what it is, but there's like that purple blob on top of the Aoife
Yeah,
tree.
like some portal or
You
void
just-
or something.
Yeah, exactly. It's just something that Kuja opened up and all this kind of stuff. So basically, just have to go to the Aoife tree, and you get some really awesome scenes here with like all of the literally hundreds, if not thousands, of these silver dragons coming
Yeah.
out to play.
Yeah, man. So that's the thing. We have kind of a stream of FMVs, and then it breaks off into these categories, and people talk and stuff. And so the first one is, yes, just as you said, all the silver dragons. And this one is like, you know, the Invincible's heading towards them, and then all of a sudden they start getting blown up and shot down, and you know, out comes all these airships out of the mist, like you know, these tiny little ships. And and it's Sid and Tantalus, you know, here they are. It goes to a little scene with them, and Baku's just having a blast, man.
Yeah, it's kind of cool because you got everybody here. But I don't think you see, is Zanero, Bonero, and Gennaro with him, or are they?
No, but
interesting point.
if you all remember, and we will absolutely talk about it some more today as we progress through Memoria. We do have that Lindblum side quest going. It's kind of in unison as you progress through Memoria. And so the first kind of scene to see there in the theater district is just soon as Disc 4 started, we already did that, so to speak, in the last episode. And it's just Zanera and Bonero, you know, you go into the hideout and they come out and they're like, where's Marcus and Blank and blah, blah, blah. We're going to go find them. And then they leave. And that's all we've seen so far. But it's just kind of funny to think about that. Well, dude, they're on an airship blowing up some silver dragons, so I'm not sure you guys are going to find them.
Yeah, exactly. They're gonna have a hard time trying to get there. But
Yes.
anyways, on top of that, you also got the Red Rose showing up to have some fun, and it's Beatrix is there as well as the Pluto Knights.
Oh,
Well,
yes.
they always still got to be in the story. I just love that. What's the line here? It's "Do not fret, your captain is about to enter Valhalla." That's what Beatrix says,
Oh,
right?
gosh,
To one
man.
of them who's like worrying or something.
Oh, it's hysterical, yeah. Because I mean, the way they come out is Sid and Tantalus and all the airships. They did great, but there was still like a little group of dragons, you know, following the Invincible. And here comes Red Rose, as you said, and the way it appeared, I think it just like flies up into him, just starts like crashing into him headlong. And so
That's
yeah,
right, yeah.
yeah, the
Cuts him
Pluto
off.
Knights is like, oh, we're gonna die, and she's like, do not fret.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Man, they need to like after everything they've been through, you'd think they'd be a little bit more confident,
Oh,
but they're
no.
still freaking out over everything.
Well, and then the
Typical
one's
Pluto
like, he's like, you wouldn't even be here if you didn't have a crush on Steiner. She's like, what'd you say? You know, and then it's funny
Yeah.
because at that point he goes to the Invincible, and Steiner comes out. He's like, oh my gosh, is that the Red Rose? And blah blah. And Zidane's all, quite the woman you've fallen in love with there.
Yeah, and then Steiner, I love his comeback. You're one to talk, and it's
Yeah,
just
because
like
Dagger's
Dagger.
like, well, hold on, man.
Yeah,
Which just once again, it just is. We already know. You've already the phrase you've said, "cat's out of the bag," but it's just a well-known just fact now that yes, Zidane and Dagger love each other. It's very open,
yeah,
it seems, because he's like, you're one to talk, and it's like, well, that means Dagger is the woman that Zidane loves, and yeah,
yep.
it's
Even
good stuff.
Steiner's completely accepted it and is like
Yes.
cool with it at this point. So it's interesting how that's happened. I mean, this goes all the way back to like Terra too, when you brought up the line where it's like, I still haven't decided if you're the right man for the
Right.
princess.
Well,
So
I guess
it's
he's got the
interesting.
pass now. So and so after all those movies, I mean, seriously, awesome scenes, some of the best. We'll definitely be sending
Yeah.
to the media over Instagram this following week or so. And you are now free, right? The Invincible breaks free, and now it goes into it, and it's essentially just goes right into a battle. So here we go.
Yeah.
We got a Nova Dragon. There are a few things to prepare for this. We'll kind of get into that. We'll just start it off with steals like we always do here. And I mean, at this point, I guess this really depends. The steals on the following bosses here, I think it just really depends on how well you yourself are set up, what all you have been able to synthesize, if you even have, or if you've even bothered spending the gil on it. Because then that kind of determines if it's even worth it to really try to get the rare steals, right?
Yeah, some of the rare steals coming up in these bosses are a little bit more worth it than others because
Yes.
they're actually missable. Like whereas some of these steals, like the one on this boss, isn't technically missable because you can synthesize it. So
Correct.
either way, and the other thing is too, like the difficulty of these bosses totally depends on if you've been grinding at all, like
Yes.
leveling up. Like if you just finished Terra and you decided to go here, Nova Dragon can be pretty tough, but it totally depends on your setup.
I
Because
think
I
it
mean, for
does.
example, like if you have ribbons, then it's not as bad, right? Because you get some
No.
elemental protection, things like
Oh
that.
yeah. Well, that's the great thing. So yes, those steals real quick. We'll knock them out for Nova Dragon. 100% is Remedy. 25% Dragon Wrist. Things obviously no big deal in Dragon Wrist. You've ever be able to buy or synthesize whatever. But the big one, of course, is the super rare 0.39% Grand Armor Steel, which of course that'd be great, especially if you didn't have the stuff to synthesize. So maybe you miss some items
Yeah.
or, whatever. That, of course, then would be the good thing. Is like, yes, definitely try to get that. But in the case of my game, like I'm, playing through and like we've talked, I mean, of course, I followed this. So I have everything, and now my characters are actually up to a normal level. So this was cakewalk. I already had grand
Yeah.
armor. I was like, I'm not even gonna worry about the steals. But if you don't
Yeah.
have it and or maybe just really need to save the money, go for it. But don't kill yourself over, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's just like all the other steals, like they always have to throw one in that's like, with some of the like perfect walkthroughs I've seen or things like that where they're adamant on getting all the steals, it just takes forever. You just gotta reset a whole bunch of times to reset the
Yeah,
RNG. Hope you get lucky. It's really just it's less than 1 in 100 chance, so it really is
yeah,
just pure luck.
yeah, it is.
But
But
anyways, as far as attacks, right?
yes,
He's got like wind slash, I think,
wind
or is it?
slash I think is one of them. Yeah,
Yeah, tidal wave. Lots of like, attacks that hit the whole party.
yes.
He does quite a bit of damage. Some of these attacks are kind of have like a lot of random variance to it, so it can depend. But
Yeah,
yeah,
he's not too hard, and like the communist made too about the ribbons. I mean, I have 3 ribbons. If I got the auction house one, that'd be 4. And so if I really wanted to, could have put on all characters. And just ribbon with this dude is, ribbon does half a lot of elemental damage, but I think it absorbs water and maybe wind. And so
oh yeah,
it's
that's
just
right.
perfect for him because,
Oh,
that's, half of his abilities are going to be absorbed. And so without that, I don't know. I don't think I've ever had too much issue on Nova Dragon in past playthroughs.
yeah, I haven't either, but depends on kind of luck based sometimes with some of
Yeah,
these
no,
attacks.
well, and it's always goes back to yes, how quick are you pushing through? What are you stopping to get, and how prepared are you? I mean, essentially
Mhm.
is, and so once you do wrap up that battle, though, it kind of goes to a few little cutscenes here. I think it goes to like the ship first, and they're all using that teleporter, and like, are you sure it's, are you sure it's safe? And kind of like, it's
Yeah,
safe. I use, and stuff. And so it's like, Good
Yeah.
thing that that has been tested, and we have someone who survived from that teleporter.
Kina knows.
Kina knows that's how she escaped.
Yeah. Seriously. But
And
then you kind of get to the beginning of this super weird looking place where there's like a city and you're kind of like a city below you and you're on this like broken pathway that leads
yes,
into a big old castle, right?
well, and I think this is like one of the coolest. I don't know entrances to like a place
Oh,
because you can
definitely.
see it in the background, like you said, but it's like still being built. You know, it's like blocks are falling down on
Yeah,
the top, and it's like it's just being
that's right.
created around them. It's really really interesting, and yeah,
Yeah.
like you said, it's kind of like a path that leads up to it, and you all got placed at the very end of it. Now we're starting to dude, why is Garland still around? How is he around? He was kicked
That's
off, man, and then the whole
yeah.
place was blowing up. It's like, someone stepped on him, lit him on fire, smashed him to pieces, rolled
Yeah.
over him with their car, and he's like, "Hey, what's going on?
I
I'm still around."
seriously though. But I mean, I think I might have mentioned it last time, but it's something interesting with Garland where he's like omnipresent pretty much,
Yes.
it's almost godlike. So
Yeah.
it's never really, at least I don't think it's ever really like fully explained how he's able to do all this kind of stuff, but he's not really he's not like a mortal where
No,
he can just
no.
die and then that's it. He's sort of living on and he's still speaking to Zidane and all that
Yes.
kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's
So
like his consciousness has still remained or something, and yeah, and so now it's getting quite serious with him. He just, I think he does say, like, what is this place? And they're like, it's Memoria, a place of memories. So it's this whole
yeah.
place is created out of all of the party members' memories. And so he says a couple other things. No one else can hear him. It's just Zidane, and
Mhm.
he's just says, I think, something like, here you shall witness the entire truth. So I guess
Yeah.
we got a lot of the answers about everything that kind of happened up to this point, but of course there's a lot of blanks, and apparently we're gonna learn a lot more.
Yeah, and then also a really, I don't know, arguably one of the best tracks in the whole game, right? I mean,
Yes,
I absolutely, it's so, I don't know, it's like mystical, but also kind of melancholy at the same time.
it
It's a
is, but then
really
it also
fits the
kind of
theme.
gets very cryptic a little bit
Yeah,
through it. It is very calm, especially at the beginning. It's very mystical and calm, but then it kind
yeah.
of gets a little. Yeah, a little grittier and stuff. Awesome soundtrack, man, and also we know this isn't kind of spoiler alert, like the last section, so to speak, but it's kind of like it kind of is though. Like the Final
Yeah.
Fantasies always have kind of the last areas, and I'll admit some of them haven't had always the best sound, or it's kind of annoying or whatever. One that I love kind of come to mind is Final Fantasy VIII also. But we won't go
Oh,
there.
yeah,
But
definitely.
it is really cool, and so having this soundtrack here is great because especially if you're doing the Lindblum thing, you will be hoofing it back and forth
Yeah.
a lot. So
But yeah, for real. But also, there's definitely like an air of finality in the
yes,
game right now. I mean, even like the first time that I played it, it's pretty apparent with like the mist covering all of Gaia now, with all of the things that have been happening. You can
yeah,
tell you're definitely getting to the end of the game now.
yeah. The plot's coming to a head here essentially. Well, you're on that path, so really only one way to go. Head on up into, we'll just kind of call it like a castle because it does kind of look like that. It kind of has that
Yeah.
architecture style. And here you will definitely unmistakably notice like an orb thing. Before that, you kind of have, it's like the stairway and it kind of flattens out, has like a corner. That's how you leave the area, right? And you just choose your
Mm.
party, and then boom, you can teleport onto the invincible interior or just fly around the map, whatever. But yeah, so if you go up a little bit, we have this little orb bubble thing, and it's like, well,
Yeah.
that's how we save now, save in Tet. And it's like, okay, well, finally
Yeah.
we have a place that Moogles can't get into. I bet
I
you
know.
if Stiltskin had one more offer, though, he would find a way and he would be there. He'd be like, what's up, Kupo? This is strange. I don't remember being in your memories.
Yeah. And imagine like what if he had like the ultimate deal? He's like, I'm gonna sell you Ultima weapon, Excalibur, da da da. That would be so sweet.
Oh, that would be.
Like, heck yeah, I'm gonna buy it.
Or if you
But
just opened a store with all like incredibly high priced
oh,
things.
be
All right,
sick.
we're this theory
Anyways.
crafting here at this point, but yes. So really, only other thing to do with this screen is there is a Kane's lance. It's kind of hidden to the right. So you kind of have to kind of
Yeah.
just work that wall and go back. I don't know why you get an achievement for this, but you do get the Kane's lance achievement for getting it, or it's something like
I
that.
kind of get it. Yeah, because it's weird. It's like a lot of these ones, they're sort of hidden. They're like when you go into these little pockets on the map and you get
Yes.
an exclamation mark. So they're not chests or anything like that. But I think the reason why Kane's Lance, even though it's not better than Dragon's Hair, is it?
No. And that's why
Right.
it's kind of interesting that it is here and you get the achievement for
It,
that one.
it's a throwback to Final Fantasy IV.
Ah, there you go.
Kane was like the dragoon in that game, so
Okay,
but we'll get
cool.
to that.
Well,
Yeah.
so that is there, and yes, if you did get the dragon hair, it's just slightly better. Kane's Lance, on the other hand, if you don't have dragon hair, will definitely be the best that you'll be able to get then. At this point, you can head back to Lindblum. I think I talked about it last episode where, there's going to be certain events. Basically, it's just as soon as you kind of either fight a boss or maybe the party has a conversation or the plot just kind of progresses a little bit, that's when you can head back to Lindblum. You have to, in order to finish it, you have to go back 9 times throughout Memoria. There are 18 situations that you're allowed to go back, so you don't have to hit all the first ones right right off. You can just kind of wait and do all that, but this is the second opportunity. We will do so. So we're going back. Boom, you get there, and you go all the way into theater district. You go in the door, and now it's Gennaro. He pops out, and he's like, "Where's Benero and Zanero?" And he's like, "I'll go look for him." And he walks out, and that's it. So first one was Benero and Zero
Oh
came
my
out. Now we
God.
got Gennaro came out looking for them, and there we go. So obviously we have lots more to discuss about
So weird.
Memoria, but before we do that, let's do our bold move. Okay, so our bold moves for this episode. I'll start us off. I was thinking about a little bit. This might be a little stretch for for me, but Final Fantasy X, man, it was kind of a bold
Yeah.
move that, at Lake Macalania after they had the battle and, they need to get to the temple now. It's kind of a bold move for them, just like in the middle of all that seriousness, to have like a jet ski race. They all flip them over and they're like, do you think you can, what is it, pilot this or drive it? He's like, buddy, or they Kamari does or something like that. And off they go and they're just racing, man.
I know that is a good point. And then they have like a little casual chat with
Oh,
whoever
yes.
you have the best compatibility with. It's either
Oh,
like
no, dude,
Lulu,
that
Ichigo.
whole thing is like, 10 minutes long, and then you can walk that later in the game. It like, I don't know, 10 seconds, no problem. It's like, geez, man, what are you guys doing?
Yeah, seriously. Oh, that's good. I didn't really think of that. All right, so mine is going back to Final Fantasy VII again. Been dabbling quite a bit in that game
Oh, yes.
recently. So, it's funny because Kate Sith has a couple of bold moves in that game, but one that I totally forgot about that happens later on, like almost near the very end of the game when he calls out, he's like, you know what, I got something that I've been wanting to say to you, Barrett, for a long time. During that bombing mission at the very beginning of the game, when they bombed the #1 reactor,
Yeah.
it's like, how many people do you think died during that? Barrett's just like, look, I don't want to hear that from anybody in the Shinra, man. Like, come on.
Yeah, that's true.
So that was kind of a bold move, man. It's like, yeah, I mean, seriously, you're part of the organization that kills thousands
Yeah.
of people all the time.
Called
and
him
you're
out.
gonna call him
When you
out.
point your finger at someone, there's 3 more pointing right back at you, buddy.
Yeah, the old saying, people in glass houses, right? So,
Bold moves indeed. All right, well, let's get back to Memoria to see what other things we can find. All right, so before we go any further, I feel like we should just go ahead and hash out some enemies. I can't remember where some are. I know that the Behemoth is one, but it's later on in Memoria, so we will just talk about that one later. So if we do miss some or whatever, then yeah, whatever. They're here somewhere in this place. So first what we'll talk about is Ash. I mean, I haven't had any issue with any of these enemies, but just kind of, man, it's mainly just abilities at this point, right? Like which ones to equip to just basically protect yourself. So Ash will use things such as Doom, Death, and Stop. So obviously, Stop is locomotion's pretty good to have against that.
So Ash, so like they kind of appear in different places. So Ash and one of the other guys that we're going to cover in a minute here appear at like a further one of the screen later from the one that we saved at that we're at right now.
Right.
But yeah, like what Mark was saying, it depends on what you have equipped. You're going to want to have a lot of status abilities equipped here because this guy can be pretty darn annoying with stop and things like that. So have locomotion on. Other than that, not too bad. You'll definitely know which one it is because he's sort of like it's like a floating
Dude,
goat
yeah.
mixed with a human or something.
Well,
It's really weird.
yeah, like he's like, okay, well, we'll talk to him. The next screen, there's like a giant pendulum thing, right? It looks like he's
Yeah.
hanging on that. I don't
Yeah,
even know,
yeah,
but yeah, very strange, very strange
yeah.
looking thing.
They're all weird enemies here because again, it's sort of an imaginary realm, I guess, built
Yeah,
in memory. So all of these enemies are like mashups of
weird
weird
things.
stuff.
Yeah, and you can't eat it for Doom. So I mean, we'll still go over this. I know we're at the end of the game, but you know, whatever. You can eat it with Kina for Doom. So that is the Ash. Next one up is we'll talk about the Chimera. Once again, not too hard, but it's just these abilities, man, with all these statuses. We'll use
Yeah.
virus crunch, so obviously virus. We got venom breath, so venom, and then cold breath does freeze. So there's three more, you know. So just add two enemies. You might want to just have those four things equipped and just leave them on at this point.
Yeah.
To be real,
Antibody and body temp are pretty much standard at this
yeah,
point in the game for me. I mean, it's like very rare. Even if you go into the world map, it's just Venom. Venom's just one of those things that you can't have. So
no, yeah, I can't be having that. You can also eat it for frost. So once again, Kina, eat that for frost. Next one's good old Iron Man, dude, or the Iron
oh
Giant, as it's been
man.
called.
Yeah, yeah, this is a classic enemy. I love the Iron Giant. I don't know,
Yes,
like the names are kind of different with Iron Man on this one, but this guy can kind of be annoying. He has one move that's particularly annoying. It's called like Helm Divide or something like that. It
right.
reduces your HP just to one, which is really annoying because it's like no matter how strong you are, if he uses that, it'll
Yeah, you
always
gotta
take you down to one.
gotta heal back up. Yeah, yeah. Other than that, I fought a few of them. I mean, of course, he has high defense, but other than that one ability, it didn't crank out too much damage. You also cannot eat it. It's just a big pile of metal, so probably wouldn't be too tasty to clean up. But then again, I'm not
No
one to
candy.
judge, so I don't know. The next one, still Stilva, I guess.
Yeah, and that one's kind of part with Behemoth where it's later on.
Right.
Um, but we can still talk about it. Stilva can be pretty tough. It's like a giant red spider mixed with a crab kind of thing. Honestly, I'm
Yeah.
trying my best to
Seriously. Yeah.
describe these. It's a really weird looking thing. He uses Fire Arga, Red Clipper or something like that. He has a
Yeah.
bunch of powerful
Yeah.
attacks,
Pretty
but
much all fire based.
yeah.
So pretty easy if you just have Rosetta Rings equipped or something.
Oh
I mean,
yeah, I was
but
gonna
they're
say.
honestly nothing really you need to kind of prepare for. But you can eat it for auto life as well. I think I
Yeah.
mean, well, obviously we've had all these by now. And so the last one we'll kind of talk about for now is Veteran. It's kind of like the the flow eating eyeballs, the bat wing eyeballs, and just again the status effects. Doom. You got roulette as they always like to use. Did have one
Mhm.
kill itself on mine. It was pretty hysterical and Blaster, which inflicts stop. So we got stop again, So same
Yeah.
same thing. Eat for Doom. It's kind of just standard basic things, but there's variety, so that's good for enemies. And then also they
Mhm.
all give pretty decent experience, because for instance, I
Yeah.
was just leveling off Grand Dragons, and while that's fine and all, it's like, dude, it just kind of gets really boring fighting the same thing over and over again.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I think this is actually kind of like the second best place in the game to level grind.
Yeah.
So it's pretty darn good. But you know what? As we're getting towards the end of the game, and we are going to cover super bosses and
Yes.
just some final ending things, we figured now would be kind of a good time just to finish up our thoughts and some more information on the card game and
Oh
some of like the
yes.
rare cards because as you're walking around Memoria, you'll find little exclamation marks where if you just press X, Zidane will look up around like something's there, but he
Yeah, like,
doesn't
huh?
know. Yeah. So I didn't know this for the longest time, but if you press square, you can actually challenge like these phantom card players.
Yes.
And why would you want to do that? Well, they have some really rare cards. So this is kind of one of the way that you can fill out, get every single card in the game if you want, do all that kind of stuff. And we'll also just cover a few of the other places you can get rare cards.
Yes. And so that kind of ties into if you do move to the next screen. So, we kind of left off on that, just basically the second screen where that first kind of save bubble was. Is you move the next one it looks like a giant clock tower or something, I mean, it has like the kind of clock noises and all that, and it has that pendulum as we referred to swinging in the middle. Here is that first like phantom. So it's kind of in that top left corner. that's the first one. And so, yes, the Phantoms
Yep.
have the cards. So one person outside of the Phantoms, though, that has all the rare cards that I think Alex actually, I think you already talked about,
A little bit, yeah.
is Gilgamesh, as we now know is Gilgamesh because of last episode. We figured out what his name is. And so if you have not actually found that out yet, so if you are not rank S and talk to him or whatever, you can still play him. I think he leaves after that, though, right? I mean,
Yeah, he does, and that's why I wanted to bring this up because
yes.
the reason why like Gilgamesh is kind of cool to play is because he uses exclusively ship cards.
Yes.
So he uses a ton of like cargo ship, he uses theater ship and all that stuff. But those aren't the ones you'd be looking for. You're going to be looking for like the rarer ones like Viltigence he can use. He can even rarely use the best ship card Invincible.
Yes.
It is pretty rare, but that's just, how the card game is, where
Of
if
course.
you want those, he's the only one in the game that will play Invincible, to my knowledge at least.
Yes. Pretty cool.
Other than that, you can just head on back to the Trino card arena. There's a whole bunch there now. I mean, it's changed up since earlier in the game. You've got the Weapon Master, you've got Magic Master, Eidolon Master, Beast Master, and they all use various like whatever they're a master in. So like Weapon Master will use like Masamune, Ultima Weapon card, even Excalibur 2, which is a crazy good
Yeah.
card.
Yeah, and then I mean,
Yeah.
well, that's the other thing. We got the other masters too, right? So Magic Masters, Holy Flare, Meteor, and you've had some opportunities to get a few of these here and there. Eidolon Master, Rama, Shiva, Ifrit, Madine, Bahum, and Arc. I mean, all those, and of course
the good
Beastmaster,
ones.
that pretty sweet Nova Dragon one. So those are them, and then the Phantoms, of course, in Memoria are your other options. So
Yeah, and
they are kind of themed with the cards too, right?
I think so. It's been a minute since I played them, but from my memory, they play certain cards that are really hard to find elsewhere, like Tiger Racket, Elixir. They use like Blue Moon cards, or Two Moons. I think it's Two Moon. Yeah, all kinds of like different rare cards. So basically, we haven't talked too much about it because
No.
I think we've sort of expressed our feelings about the random variants
Hate
with the
it.
card game and things like that. So,
Hate this game.
oh
No.
man, I just can't do it anymore. But anyways, so we just wanted to finish off this. That's kind of like our last, our last thing
Last
on the
hurrah.
card game, and where you
Yeah.
can get the final rare cards.
Yeah. And that's the thing, we definitely have talked about it. We don't just, we just don't really enjoy playing it as much as Triple Triad, but that's the main thing is if you did get all the cards up to this point, especially if you got the Chocobo treasure ones, you should have a really good hand. Hopefully, unless you just really weren't paying attention to the arrows and you kind of got screwed there. But if you did get all of them to this point, you should be able to challenge these people. Doesn't mean you're going to win, and honestly, they could have all flans and they'd still beat you. But that's okay, because just save it after every single time. If you're on the remaster versions, just zone out and zone right back in. Autosave has your back, and just keep playing them. Getting those cards. It kind of like Alex said. I mean, you got all the masters there. We have all the phantoms. So you kind of might have to just be pretty intentional and targeting a certain card that maybe you need, or whatever, and just going there.
Yeah, but some ridiculous things do happen. Like me and Mark were talking a little while ago, and I had played a game, and it was something ridiculous where like a Lizard Man card was able to beat Lindblum. I was like, how would that happen?
Yeah. Seriously. I just won't stand for that, Yeah, so.
No, it's too ridiculous. It's like, yeah, Lizard Man walked up to Lindblum and just destroyed it.
Just knocked on the gates. No, and we have talked about it quite a bit. I know not so much on the podcast episodes, but we like Tetramaster. I think it's a really cool game. The card's pretty cool. Yeah. We strongly like the map and the variability of it. I mean, it's different every single time, and so you are able to have the strategy, and especially like kind of the cards, when you flip a card, it flips whatever's in the arrows. That's really cool too. It's the variability. It's too great. It's too much for the cards. It's too frustrating when your A ranked or straight A strength card loses to like a 4 defense, and it's like, come on, man. Like it just
happens way too often in my opinion. Like it shouldn't happen. It should only happen like maybe once every 20 times or something.
Yeah.
It seems to happen like almost a quarter, like 25%
so
of the time.
often. Yeah.
Anyways.
So Yeah, so that's our thoughts. We will mention some of the phantoms as we go. There's pretty much just like one or two on every screen, just about, I think. And so, you can go through that way. But so we are still in that kind of clock tower screen. So if you just follow the stairs on around, head out in the path, you'll kind of be like outside. It still looks very kind of, I don't know, man. It looks like very early 1800s look, like all kind of cottage homes. And, it's kind of all Castellane. So you kind of just work up the scaffolding up to the top. There is a little, it's like
an alcove.
Yeah, pretty much like an alcove or something. It's just a little break from the path. I think it's like either on the second or third level of the stairs. Impossible. You have to walk by. Impossible to miss. If you go down it, there is the weapon that is the tower. It's for Zidane. You get another achievement or whatever this is. I think it's second best, right, compared to Ultima.
All of the weapons in here are pretty much the
best or second best,
or the second best weapons in the game. So you still get achievements for them. They're pretty darn good. And the tower's a really good weapon. So
yeah, really cool. And so you will continue on as usual. And it's just you're on a very tight rail, kind of path here. It's just leading around. And as you go, you get in a battle. At first, you're like, oh, man, random battle. But then you hear the music. So it's not. And before we find out anything else, let's go to Seed Trivia. All right. Well, Alex is on his rank 32 seed quiz. I guess I've just been making them too easy lately. So we're going to ramp this up. No, I say that each time, and then you answer these instantly, and I'm like, well, crap. Took me like 10 minutes to think of. No, all right. So we're going to start us out on Final Fantasy X, man. So this is actually going back to something you were trying to explain a little bit during the bold move that I was trying to stop you. But in Final Fantasy X, and we will talk about this once we get there, there's the whole affection little kind of, mini game almost, right? And there are a total of 4 cutscenes that will change based on, your affection with the other players, or other characters, rather. For those 4 cutscenes, no matter what the points, say it's a tie or something, right? All of them tied points. They give Lulu priority on 3 of the 4 cutscenes.
Oh, man. Yeah, now you're really bringing out the tough questions, because I have no idea. I know about the affection system, and I know kind of a little bit how that works, but I didn't know. I'm going to say false, because I haven't heard of that.
All right. Final Fantasy 13 is our next question. The Scale Beast staggers at 130%.
True.
All right, Final Fantasy 7. The Midgar Zolom, did I say it right? I don't know. Has 4,000 health.
True.
Final Fantasy 12. The Sledgehammer, and this is for the original version, which I think you're more familiar with anyways. The Sledgehammer is the only axe or hammer that has an added effect.
I'm not sure. True.
In Final Fantasy 8, when Laguna and his gang go to Deling City and they're sitting in the hotel, they order 3 Coors Lights.
False.
Final Fantasy X-2, original version as well for this one. When you find, and I don't know if it's any different, so let's just say original version for this one. When you find all 13 Squatter monkeys at Kilika, you will get the Chaos Maelstrom garment grid.
That is true.
And our last question is in Final Fantasy IX. If you inspect the Dueling Claws description, it says long, sharp claws.
False.
All right, man, let's recap this. So our first question was the Final Fantasy X affection one, and how in an event of tie or something like that, Lulu takes priority in 3 of the 4 possible cutscenes that change. You said false. It is false.
Okay.
She doesn't take priority on 2. She takes priority, or 3 of them. She takes priority on 2 of them, and then Yuna is the other person that takes priority on the other 2. Interesting stuff. Yeah, we'll have to go through that as we play, man, because I really don't know much about that either.
Oh, me neither.
All right, our next question is Final Fantasy 13. The Scale Beast staggers at 130%. You said true, and it is false. It is
Uh,
115%. I tried to pick one that's like, Scale Beast, you definitely wanted to fight those, and they suck so bad because you have Vanille and Saz, but they're
brutal.
blocking Great Treasure, and so it's like, oh my gosh.
I hate those guys.
Battle takes like 10 minutes. Final Fantasy VII, the Midgar Zolom has 4,000 health. You said true, it is true. I figured you'd probably know that one. Alright, next question was the Sledgehammer in Final Fantasy XII being the only axe or hammer that has an added effect. Sounded like you guessed at true, but you guessed correct, friend. It is true.
Okay.
It's disabled,
I knew
but
that
it's the
one
only
did.
one. They don't, the Sledgehammers and axes definitely don't have much to offer in ways of added effects of any kind, so.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy VIII, Laguna and Gain, they go to Delian City Hotel and say, hey, babe, give me 3 Coors Lights, please. You said false, and that's actually, no, it's false. They have 3 usuals.
The usual. Yeah, I was thinking about that. I'm like, well, it's not specific, so.
It could be Coors Light. Yeah, we don't
Could
know.
be Coors Light. Yeah, I was thinking for a minute.
The mountains are blue, cold activated. All right, next question. Final Fantasy X-2. Once you find all 13 squatter monkeys at Kilika, you get the Chaos Maelstrom Garment Grid. You said that instantly, so clearly that was very easy to know. For you, that's true.
Man.
You got it.
Really went overkill on 10-2.
Yeah, I know. I don't, I just can't remember some of these things and like how pivotal, pivotal or important they are. And so, All right, our last question, the Final Fantasy IX involving inspecting dueling claws. And it says long, sharp claws. You said false, and it is false.
Yeah, it's like claws that can destroy the world or something. it's intense, right? Doesn't it have like a really crazy...
It is weapon once used by a legendary foe.
Oh, okay, I was way off. Never mind.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Tiger Fangs was the long, sharp claws. I like reading the descriptions, man. They're pretty hilarious.
Yeah, I know. They're kind of interesting.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, regardless, you only missed, I think, 2 questions, so you did pass your rank 32 seed quiz. Congrats, friend. Nice. All right. Well, Alex is on a roll once again with these, and we are going to go back to figure out why it was playing boss battle music all of a sudden. And, well, it is playing that music because it's a boss. Imagine that. It is Malaris. Yep.
I think that's about right. Malyrus. Yeah, whatever. We're both going to struggle.
Malyrus, sure, whatever.
Say that, but you'll recognize this is the one that is one of the shrine fiends that we never actually fought. It was the one that Amaranth and Freya had to fight. So
yeah, it starts the battle and the boss is like, "Oh, we meet again," or something like that, and you're like,
"Yeah,
dude, I don't know you." That's what it'd be like. You gotta try to stiff him, make him feel bad about himself. Who you?
Who are you? Anyways?
Who are you? I don't remember you. Nah, so let's do the steals first. Once again, this kind of just goes exactly like we were talking about with Nova Dragon. I mean, if it's something that you do need and really want, go for it. But none of it's really missable, right? I don't think with this. Like, you got 100% Genji armor, so I mean...
Technically not, but this is your only chance to get multiple of the Genji stuff. So this one has the Genji armor. And nicely, luckily, they made it so that it's 100% steel. So you're gonna get the Genji armor.
Yep, no matter what.
25% is Ultima Sword.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess it would be cool. I mean, so Genji armor isn't missable per se, but yes, this is like the only, second copy of it, so to speak.
Yeah,
so,
if you just want multiples, that's all.
Yeah, it's not going to be better than anything else, but it's just the fact that, well, that's the only other one you can get, I think, and so there you are. But 25% is Ultima Sword, and then 6.25% is a Mass Immune, so...
Totally not worth it.
No, yeah, I mean, maybe still a couple times, see what you get, but Genji armor may be the only one you want. And this guy, not too crazy. The only really thing you should probably just watch out for, and it kind of just goes along with always having just protecting against status effects, it does use Mustard Bomb, so you do have to watch out for that. But other than that, just kind of a bunch of physical attacks for the most part.
Yeah, just uses Sword Quiver is the basic physical attack. They can do quite a bit of damage, so just you know what to expect at this point in the game with the damage and everything. Has a big move. I'm trying to remember it. It's like
It's like
a
Fire
burning
Sash or something like that. Burning
fire
Sash.
slash. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
something like that. And that one can actually like that's probably its most dangerous move. It can do, I don't know, 2000 or something like
Yes.
that. So it can do quite a bit of damage. And the other tricky thing about this boss is that it does actually have a final attack on death,
Yes.
which is raining swords. Hits
Raining
the whole party,
Swords.
so be
Yes.
careful of that.
Yeah, and so with the physical attacks, uses fire attacks. So if you want to have something like Rosetta Rain or anything that reduces fire damage, that can be helpful. And yes, Raining Swords. It did quite a bit to my party. I was topped off. I was good to go. I was preparing for it, and so I think it did like 2600 ish to a couple of them. Maybe a little less to a third, but it totally just I have Freya, it just totally missed Freya. Didn't even hit Freya. I was like, okay, I don't know if that was a
That's
dodge or
weird.
a miss or something, but it just didn't do any damage to her at all. So
Yeah.
I don't know if it's one of those where it kind of does pool damage but redistributes it, here and there, whatever. But just be aware that is a ability on death, so might finish off a couple people if they're kind of low, and
Yeah.
that's that. So right here at this moment, right after don't move the character. You can now head back again to Lindblum for the next side quest. So we're at the 3 of the 9. Remember, 9 finishes it. You have 18 opportunities, but we're on the third one. And if you go all the way back, you go to the door, someone comes on out of it, and it's someone named Nero. And he looks just like the others, and he comes out and he's like, "Where's Gennaro, Zanero, and Bonero? I'm going to go look for him."
my
And then he
God.
leaves. And it's like, I think I see where this is headed. And so,
I like how too it's like very, very close to dinero.
Dinero.
And they're like the money
Dinero.
guy, dinero.
Dinero. He's the money guy. Yes.
Yeah.
It's so, go ahead, head all the way back. It is a pain in the butt, especially, I don't blame you if you're not using modifiers. I'm using modifiers this whole time, man. I was like, I'm going to crank this out. I do not want to fight 1,000 battles going back and forth to do this. So,
No, exactly.
pretty interesting thing. I don't know how many people know about this, but yes, that is your third attempt. That would be 3 out of 9 if you've hit all of them so far. And we'll stop and we'll discuss all of the 18 just to at least let you know where they're at. All right, so you move on to the next screen from here, and we get some really cool stuff. So it's kind of like there's like stairs and just I don't know, maybe a monument or something there. But in the background, there's what looks like, and they talk about it, Alexandria. I think it's like what Ico's there, Zidane's there, Dagger's there, and Kina's there. And Zidane, Dagger, and Ico are seeing Alexandria, but then like something happens, man. It's really cool.
Yeah, exactly. Doesn't I mean it's kind of an intense scene where
It is.
basically it goes over like the history of its destruction. You kind of see Bahamut appear and everything like that.
Yeah.
And it's a crazy like illusion
Invincible,
or something
too.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and then like the vision kind of like ends with it just being like encased in fire, and then once that dissipates, there's like the destroyed Alexandria as they know it. Kina's kind of off to the side, and she's like, "I not see anything," and all this stuff. But that's when
Yeah.
Zidane kind of remembered what Garland was saying. Was like, "Well, of course you haven't. You weren't there. This is like a memory. This happened from us. Only we have this memory." And so it just kind of really is hammering down this whole Memoria place and how interesting this is. Lo and behold, here comes Garland, and he's speaking to all the little girls and boys, and it's kind of interesting. I'm making light of the fact that Garland's just seriously, dude, what the heck? Does he have a megaphone? Like where is he talking from? But anyways,
Seriously.
he gives us a little bit more. He says like, Kuja tried to, defy me and use Alexandria, but he's like, but actually all of this all started 10 years ago with an incident. An incident started this all 10 years ago. And so we're assuming we're going to get all this info about, like what happened, man? What made him snap?
Yeah. It's pretty starts to get really intricate at this point. And as we progress through this place, we're gonna find out more about what the heck he's talking about because things
Yeah.
are about to get even more real.
Yes.
So,
Yeah, it's pretty. It's like you said, man, earlier. It really is like when you're here, this is the end of the game.
Yeah.
There's if you're playing for the first time, maybe Terra, it's like, oh, maybe this is the first time I fought Garland, man. I got to fight Kuja. Is this the end? But once you
Yeah.
get here, man, it's like, no, you know this is the end for sure. So once all that ends, the vision, and all that, and Garland, you can go up those little tiny stairs, and on the right side, it's just like a save point, one of those things. I actually don't even think it's lit up. So this one's kind of like an invisible one. I think you can rest and save as normal. On the left side, though, something pretty cool. You got the angel flute. So there you go. That's the best flute in the game.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Do you know what abilities has on it? I do not remember.
I'm going to guess, I think it might have holy or full life or something like that.
Okay, pretty cool stuff.
It is definitely her best weapon.
I guess it's just you just got to decide if you want to use the flute or the racket, right? Because Tiger racket is essentially for Ico. I mean, it's of course Dagger can use it, but it's got the spell on it. I think which who cares about that? But it's
Kiraga, Izuna, and Holy.
Okay, so
and you get the ultimate flute achievement. So
yes,
that's pretty nice.
Yeah, there you go. So definitely pick up that flute. And, well, it's time to head back to Lindblum again. I know we just head back, but here's your next opportunity. So this is number 4 of 9. And you work your way all the way to the theater district. Hustled and muscled. You go to the door. Zidane jumps back. Out comes Panero. And Panero is like, where is Nero, Gennaro, Zanero, and Bonero? I'll go look for him. And then Panero runs off.
Ridiculous.
So... I've never done this, and I have not looked up past this. I'm doing it myself. So you're all experiencing this with me for the first time, hopefully as well. And we all can see where this is going down, one of these kind of little fun little riddle name things. And so we will do this for sure and keep it going. Have to.
I always did say they were like the weirdest, just super weird characters, right? So I do like that they added in this kind of like Easter egg type thing that's sort of a joke where there's even more than
there's more of them. Yeah, there's more than 3 apparently. So gosh, this is great. This is fantastic.
It's weird, man.
Oh, it's so weird. But yes, so like I mentioned, we will be following this. We're going to continue. We're going to see how many of the Neros there are, and this is going to be hysterical. Got all the screenshots, so we'll post it, of course. Well, here's the thing. Memoria is quite large. We planned this to go into 2 episodes. So we are going to pause right there. It seems like a pretty good spot to stop at the save points. And I know we got a bunch of bosses coming and a bunch of side stuff. And so we're going to have to decide when we do eventually go back out to the world and finish off all the kind of stuff there where we are approaching kind of the end of the story. And so we will do that pretty soon. We also have, a hidden side boss as well that we haven't gotten to yet. So we will, of course, discuss that. But yes. So that will do it for us on this episode. We thank you so much for listening and supporting us, the podcast. It's been over a year now that we have been running up, and it is awesome. It's been a lot of fun, and of course, just working our way all the way through Final Fantasy IX, exhausting that has been a lot of fun as well. You can stop off at our website. It is Final Stop for FinalFantasyTalks.com. We have our podcast there, or the episodes rather, and the blog posts for those episodes if you're just curious, a little more info about it. You can also go to our Instagram. It is Final Stop for Final Fantasy Talks handle as well. And we, just as we mentioned throughout this episode, we post media and pictures, clips, whatever of just the episode itself and have kind of fun conversations about it, ask questions. Great way to get plugged in.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, that'll do it for this time. We'll catch you in the next episode. I'm Mark.
And I'm Alex.
And this is Final Stop for Final Fantasy Talks.